Hi, my name is Nancy, and of course I'm an anti-musician. And a few months ago, through anti-musician, I had the privilege to meet an amazing artist, singer, songwriter, you name it, Miss Linda Raine. And I had to take the opportunity to have an interview with her, or conversation, or chit-chat, whatever you want to call it, to hear about her life story, and her art. So, hi Linda, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Nanad. How are you?
Yeah, doing fine. I met you through your entry musician, the thing that everyone can see behind me now, and I remember, maybe the people who are watching this don't know, but at every session, at every end of the session, we play our music and like what we're doing and what we had, and then you played your song, and I was like, where was this voice hiding for all these years? I mean, it was like, man. So where were you hiding, Linda, for like all these years? Because you, with your voice and your talent, I mean, you should be way at the top.
I wish, Nanad. I wish. I took many years off. I started my musical career, if you wish. When I was 14, I learned to sing and play guitar because my mother played and my aunts and uncles played. So I grew up around music all the time. And my mother played piano as well. So I asked her one day to teach me how to play a certain song that she played all the time. So she taught me 3 or 4 chords, and then she said to me, okay, I've taught you that, now you're on your own. And so I quickly had to learn how to teach myself how to play guitar, and I played a lot. Wrote my first song at the age of 14 when my family moved from Toronto, Ontario to Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And so I wrote a song about moving and how upset I was that we had to move and that sort of thing.
Losing the friends and everything else.
Exactly. So that was my first songwriting gig. And then when I moved to Nova Scotia, I met some friends in high school who were also musicians and learned from them as well. And then my biggest gig at that age, at the age of 17, my brother played hockey, and my family was very involved in the Hockey Association. So the Hockey Association learned that I was a singer-songwriter, and they asked me to write a song for the local hockey tournament. That it was an international hockey tournament. There were teams coming from all over the world. So they asked me to write a song for the tournament, which they were going to play before every game. So along with a friend of mine, Paul Verge, we collaborated and came up with a song called Up for the Tourney. And they played it before every gig, before every hockey game. And then at the opening ceremonies, they arranged for me to record it and perform it with a local comedic group called Finnegan. And within that group was Jimmy Flynn, who's very well known in Atlantic Canada. He's a very funny man. He's a comedy guy and writes his music as such. So I got to perform the song with him, and to me that was amazing because he was such a celebrity in Atlantic Canada. And that was my first time in a recording studio as well, because we recorded the song in a studio. So that was my first big gig at the age of 17. And then I moved to Ontario and met a gentleman who I ended up marrying, who's now my ex-husband, but that's besides the point. And we were together for about 14 years, and during that time we had 2 children. So I really took time off the music during that time. And I still played the odd time for the family and for my kids. But really, I really took a step back from the music altogether. And then I'd say probably around 2005 or 4, I met, through some neighbors, I met some musician friends. And they really changed my life. They really encouraged me to go out on my own and just play a lot more, sing a lot more, write a lot more. And I'm very thankful that I met those people because they really turned my life around. My marriage ended up breaking up at that point as well. And that made for a lot of great songwriting material. That's
Okay,
the only...
we'll get back to that point because you told me how they label you and music, but
Yes.
after. So basically, I totally understand that part of your life because something similarly happened to me. Like I stopped in, I think 1999 or something like that altogether. Like I thought at the time, like, man, I'm 33 years old. What am I fooling? I'm not going to make a big time coming up that step that I needed to really sustain my living out on music. And I stopped. And it took me 18 years to get back. Because what I discovered is that during those 17 or 18 years, I wasn't happy. I mean, yeah, I was also in disastrous marriage. Was, thankfully, and it ended. And I had my daughter out of that marriage. That's the most beautiful thing that happened to me in my life. And I was happy having a daughter, growing up and living and doing everything. And so, but somewhere deep inside, I was missing something. So I felt it's, like becoming a musician at the early age, because I also became a musician at 14, 15 years, and getting hooked. It's like being a junkie. Once you get hooked, you can't get away. Is that the same with you?
It was, yes, it was. Music's always been a big part of my life, except when I was bringing up my children. I didn't really have a choice but to make it take a back seat. But ever since I met those friends of mine, when my marriage ended, music has been my life. It really has. It's one of the most important things in my life. And I'm thankful for it because especially the songwriting has gotten me through some really dark times. And it was very, very therapeutic.
Yeah, so the same. I mean, when I returned to music, I mean, the whole album that I did, and the album is named One Foot in the Grave. I mean, it's literally about my personal therapy regarding my failed marriage and all the things bad that happened during those 17, 18 years, and I had to, spit them out of me, and therapeutically, literally. So, as far as I know, it's the 20th anniversary of your first album that you did.
Yes.
So, can you tell me more about it, how you came to that first LP, the first album, how it happened, who contributed to that and whatnot?
Well, when I first started writing for the album, my intention was not to write for the album and record it, because at that point I hadn't yet met my producer. I was playing in a band, and the band, I was the lead singer of a band called Diamond and the RUFF, RUFF, and it was 5 gentlemen and myself, and I was the lead singer, and we had a lead guitarist and a bass player and a drummer and a percussion guy, and I had written a lot of material during, those dark times, and the band started performing them, and then we started to record as a band that material, and then during all that process, through another friend, I met my producer. And I had all this material that I had written, and everybody was encouraging me to have it professionally produced. So through this gentleman, I started to getting the album produced, and that was probably 2005, 6. Yeah. So that's when we started with the album, and he's a very talented producer. I'm really thankful to have met him. His name's Roberto, Philipp, and him and his fiancee Cynthia Knight produced the album.
And it was released through some major label, or?
No, it wasn't released through a major label. I released it through Reverb Nation on worldwide. Just like DistroKid, when you release something through DistroKid, it's
everywhere. Yeah,
worldwide. So that's what I did. Yes. No, I never had a label.
Well, in fact, it's a good thing because my experiences with labels are that I was always ripped off in the end. So nothing turned good for me. I mean, I've changed, I think, 4 or 5 record labels for various albums and with various bands and so on. And each time it was a rip-off.
Well, I did have Universal listen to it. During that time that I was in the studio, my producer knew the then head of A&R for Universal Canada. And they had to listen to it, and they liked it, but not enough to put money behind it. So,
when I listen to your music, now you can, of course, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm coming from Europe, so
yes.
When I listen to music, most of the music that comes from Canada, at least in my experience and what I had the ability to hear, or the option to hear, has that country folk roots, country rock folk roots that, date back to the band in the 60s and Neil Young.
Yes.
And so, when I heard that music of yours, I said, yeah, this is like, this is Canada singing. I mean, is that just my perception, or is it really like that's the main thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of our roots in Canada, there is European roots. There's Irish and Scottish, especially in Atlantic Canada. There's a lot of Celtic music. So that's where those roots come from. I mean, the 60s and the 70s music that you've heard in the United States, for instance, we have the same influences that they do. So yes, you're right on the mark. I mean, my influences were Patsy Cline and Melissa Etheridge and a lot of the country artists. That's where my influences came from. And a lot of the music I heard as a child that my mother used to play. So yes, you're correct. That's where those influences come from.
Yeah, and as far as I understood, you had the musical background within your family.
Yeah.
Because that's always the huge thing. Whenever I speak to other musicians, like 90% of them, like music was always in my house, and like parents were doing it, or professionally, or just because they like it and so on. So curse the parents for putting us in the musician position.
That's right.
So at this point, you're actively returning to writing music, to recording, and so how do you feel like the change that was happening between like these 2 decades, between like when you started professionally doing it and recording and also, and nowadays? How do you feel that difference?
Wow, there's a big difference. There's a lot more competition out there because of the internet. Competition has it's a bazillion times. So there's a lot more competition out there. So really what my focus is, my focus used to be to try to make it big. And obviously that didn't happen. But a lot of people can say that we're aspiring musicians. But my focus now is really just to write as much as I can, record, and look for licensing opportunities, write for other artists. Those are the opportunities that I'm really looking for now: publishing opportunities, licensing opportunities, and writing for other artists. So I try to make as many connections as I can. I've made some amazing connections through Entre Musician. I can't tell you how much my life has changed since I met Jerry B and yourself through the Entre Musician. I mean, there's so many talented artists. No, it's been an absolute godsend to me. I mean, I can't tell you how much more inspiration and confidence that group has brought me. I mean, it really, really has. And I look forward to our meetings every weekend. That's why you see me on every call every weekend, because that's how much I enjoy it.
I'm a member like for, 18 months or something like that. when I look at myself 18 months ago and where I'm at now, like, the knowledge that I gained, as you said, the confidence that I gained, with all the help and everything else, I mean, it literally, I'm changed person. So I'm glad it's working the same way for you. And, I encourage people all the time, like, just join us, just, be at the one session, see if it works for you. But I don't know why people hesitate. Have you noticed that there's some sort of like shyness within the musicians, although they are extrovert, meaning, you're doing something publicly, you're putting your emotions publicly, you're performing in public. And then when you come to your creative process and like sharing it with the fellow musicians, they go so introverted. Did you notice it? Don't notice that?
Yeah, some are like that. Yes, some are like that. But I don't feel that way. I mean, I've got the confidence. It doesn't bother me. I enjoy every minute of it. And look at the collaborations that we get to our group. I mean, Ladina and I just wrote a song called You Ain't Him. And I think it's going to do well. I really do. I just actually sent it to my producer today. And he's already started. He started producing it. So
brilliant.
I know Ladina's just going to be thrilled when she hears it. I can't wait for her to hear it.
That's exactly the point. Having as many great musicians, artists, songwriters collaborating.
Yeah. And because we have meetings every week and we play our music at the end of those meetings, it's also been an inspiration for me to write every week. Because, I've got something new to offer the group. I mean, I can't just keep having you play the songs from my album. I'm getting to the point now, though, where I've been so inspired that I'm writing a song almost a day.
Brilliant.
It's been wonderful. It really has. And I went for years that I couldn't write. For years I wasn't inspired and just couldn't find the inspiration to write. And I'd say in the last 6 months, my inspiration has just gone through the roof. I mean, it's just, so I'm pretty excited.
Brilliant. I mean, that's one of the things that you learn as a musician is having someone who can hold you accountable for what you do. And that's the group does. Look, you're not doing anything. Come on, do something. It's not finished. We don't care. Just play it. Let us hear and something like that. So that's the great thing also about the group. Now let me return to your music. You yourself said that you've been labeled as a man hater because of your songs. I mean, so just to make it easy for you, in one period, especially with my album One Foot in the Grave, I was labeled as a women hater. So, so I totally understand you. But, can you please tell me something more about that? How did all that happen?
Okay, so when I was going through those dark times, I wrote some songs about men that you could tell my girlfriends would label them as man-hating songs because, and the guys in the band used to say, don't get her upset, talking about me, don't get her upset, she might write a song about you. But during that time, I mean, it really provided a lot of inspiration for material to write. So I'll tell you a story about one song that I wrote called I Was a Fool. And I actually told it to our group during one session, but I was doing a gig to make extra money in a little tiny bar in Toronto, and she asked me if I do, the owner of the bar asked me if I do some afternoon sessions on Saturdays and Sundays, afternoon matinees, if you will. So I remember my first Saturday gig, the only people that were in the room were members of my band. I was playing by myself, but members of my band and their wives were there, and they were the only people in the room with the exception of a few in the back that had arrived earlier in the afternoon. So I introduced my song and said, this is a song called I Was a Fool, and it's a man-hating song. Not that I hate men, I don't hate men, I just haven't met the right one yet. Well, this great big man in the back of the room, who was like a biker type burly guy, he stood up in the back of the room and raised his hand and said, today's your lucky day. So that gave her some laughs, and it really helped with the nerves. So that's how I introduced the song, and that's what happened to me that day. I thought that was pretty funny. We all had quite the laugh over that. But that's where the man-hating songs came from, is that my girlfriends labeled them man-hating songs.
Yeah, but I mean, I've listened to your songs. They're not men-hating. Yeah, they're just, describing the emotions that you have, your personal, and how did you got hurt. And each of us, get hurt by the other side. That's I mean, we hurt other people knowingly or unknowingly, and it happens to us. Only we had the privilege to write the song about it.
When your heart was untrue, oh, I needed you, baby. I've cried for you lately. I thought that you loved me, but now I see clearly. I was a fool for loving you. I was a fool for crying too. I've dried my tears, I've cleared my mind. Now you're just a memory worth leaving behind. I need a man. Oh, I need a man who will love me now, love me for who I am. He'll treat me right, treat me like a lady, and I'll show him just how much this woman has to give. Take your ring, or take back your pain, and give it to another who you think might still care. 'Cause I'm moving out, and I'm moving out. Maybe one day I'll thank you for what I've become. 'Cause I was a fool for loving you. I was a fool for crying too. I've dried my tears, I've cleared my mind. Now you're just a memory worth leaving behind. I was a fool, and where were you when I needed you?
How do you write? You have the idea what?
I used to write, literally just pick up the guitar and start a little bit with the melody and then write the song from start to finish. I wasn't the kind of person that would write the chorus first. It had to be a start to finish process for me. And I'd write the lyrics as I was progressing with the song. Now, however, especially because I'm collaborating with people, it's not necessarily the same process. When Ladina and I started out with this song, she wrote the chorus, which is a killer chorus, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
She wrote the chorus. She just sent me a message one morning, and well, it was morning to me. It was afternoon for her being in Finland. But she just messaged me one morning and said, "What do you think of these lyrics?" And she sang it for me, and it was a little Facebook message. And as soon as I heard it, I knew immediately that's a hit. Like that chorus is gonna go places. So I immediately had to start writing the song and the verses for the song. So in that instance, we had the chorus first. But I find more recently, I'm finding that I'm writing lyrics and then adding a melody. It depends on the situation. It can change at any time. But I find collaborating with people is fun as well. So, and I'd never done that before. I always wrote my own stuff. But
Yeah, I mean,
I'm collaborating.
yeah, for me, it's like two different ways to do it because, like when I do it all by myself, that's one kind of energy, and especially, I have my own home studio, and I don't know, I'm in a door for like 30 something years, and that's one line of energy, just being me focused on that. Collaborating with the others, like it's entirely different stream of mind when you're doing it. Just being open to let me hear that, and let me what do you think about that, and how do you feel that this works with? So you're absolutely on point with the collaboration, but also one thing that you said is reminded me of storytelling. So is that the way that you approach your music? Like you're creating a songs like being a storyteller?
Yes, it depends on the song. It depends on the content of the song. Like if I have an idea for a story, then it becomes a story. But then if you have a song like my song Rise, that's not really a story. That's more like a anthem, if you will. I wrote that song when I was going through a really dark time after my marriage breakup, and I was really feeling sorry for myself and, just really down in the dumps. And that song to me was an inspiration to let's change your life. Let's start living again. And that's why I wrote that song. It was very inspirational to me. something else that I've been doing that is going to be a real challenge for me is learning to produce my own music. So I just got a DAW. I'm using Reaper, and I got a keyboard for MIDI, and I got a microphone. So I'm all set. I've got everything I need, but I just need to learn how to use it. There's still a long way to go. A long way to go.
In the position that you are at the moment as a songwriter, as a future producer, are you intending just to do it for yourself, meaning that you're going to do only your music, or you intend to invite other musicians to record, to produce and whatnot in near future?
Well, right now it's just for myself. I'd love to learn to produce myself, and I mean, I think it's just, I mean, I love going into a studio. You know, when I worked with my producer, when I worked with my band in their studio, I loved doing that. It's such a great process for creativity. I mean, it just, you know, you decide what instruments you're going to add, and I just think it's, to me, that's just so much fun. So really, initially, I just want to produce for myself. Once I get good enough, then I might invite in other musicians. But to be honest with you, I only know a few in the area where I'm living now. Most of my other musician friends live in the Toronto area, and I'm about 3 hours from there. So,
but I mean, internet can help you. Like, you know, they send you the stems, then you mix them, and so on. So
eventually, sure, if I get good enough, then eventually I would be open to that, definitely.
And you've just released, like a few weeks ago, released a new single. Am I right about that?
What's Up? Yes.
Yeah,
What's Up? Yes.
Yeah. What inspired you to do that particular song? I mean, I like that song even you know when it came up first. It was mid-90s or something like that. When it came first.
Initially, I just liked the song. My producer and I decided it was his idea for me to do a cover song for the album initially. So we went through the process of listening to different songs and deciding which one was best. And I chose What's Up because I always liked the song. I liked the message in the song. I thought vocally it would suit my voice, and the treatment that he had told me that he was going to give to the song. So that's why we went with that song. So initially, that's why I picked the song. But then when it came time to actually release the album, I thought, being as naive as I was at the time, that the process to release a cover song would have been a lot more expensive and hard to do. I thought it would be a much more difficult process than it actually was. And it wasn't that expensive, really. So now I know if I want to do a cover song, what I have to go through to do that. So we didn't initially release it on the album. But then as the years went on and I had my copy of the song that he had produced for me, I shared it with a few of my friends. And one of my friends, unfortunately, was going through breast cancer. And she admitted to me that that was her theme song that she listened to a lot during the time that she was going through that. So she listened to my song quite a bit as she was going through battling cancer. And it became her anthem song, if you will. And unfortunately, she lost that battle at the age of 46. Yeah. But every time I sing that song or I hear it, I think of her. So, and I think of the fond memories I've had of her. Yes.
And any plans of returning, playing gigs live, playing live? I mean, your voice, people must hear it. I mean, you know, I will, you know, there will be a few of your songs during this interview played, but I'm literally blown up about what you do with your voice, because that's so clear, powerful, emotional. So any plans of getting back to playing live to the audience? Because from my point of view, I think that you're going to, if you do that, you'll amass a huge amount of followers.
Well, I have no plans to go live here in Leamington.
Yep.
I really need, and I think I would need accompaniment, a person to accompany me if I was to do it live. The lead guitarist in my band, Mark Bradley, he lives locally here, but he's retired now, and I think he's busier now than he was when he was working. So I don't bother him with that. I mean, he's got him and his wife are very much enjoying retirement, so I'll let them go and do that. But as far as playing live, I bought this for my cell phone.
Yep.
I can now record live, and I can put it on the internet. That's going to be the extent of me playing live. So
yeah,
I can put it out there for that, but that's probably going to be my extent of live playing.
Yeah, well, I mean that's almost became a standard since the pandemics. I mean, a lot of bands were like hiring a studio and putting the cameras on and recording and playing, even playing live. I mean, going YouTube live at the very moment. So, what the problem with that is that, and that's another issue that I would like to comment with you. That whatever we do, it looks like we the musicians, the songwriters, the producers, and all of us who are creating the art and as the modern language would say, content, we're treated like slaves. I mean, even worse than slaves. Slaves wouldn't have to give their own money to do something. I mean, there was the owner of slaves who would say, okay, do that. Now we're putting our money in, we're putting our heart and soul in, we're putting our time in, we're putting our emotion in, and we gain nothing in return during those, due to those streaming services and whatnot. So, any opinions of yours? Why did we came where we are now, and what can we do to earn a decent living out of what we do? Because music is not for free. I'm sorry for the long question, but music is not for free. Maybe it is if you're end consumer and listening to Spotify and said, okay, I can listen or whatever, iTunes, whatever, I can listen to it for free, but it's not created for free.
Right.
It costs. So what's your opinion? How did we get here, and how to get out of this position that we're in?
Honestly, I don't know how to get out of the position that we're in. The internet changed everything. The internet changed everything as far as the music world is concerned. And now we're getting into AI. And that's changing everything as well. I have my own opinions about AI. I think that, whatever happened to appreciating raw, true talent? Whereas now, someone with no talent can use AI and create a song that sounds fantastic. And then they can upload it to Spotify and what have you, and they can get their streaming money. Not that you get much, but I think AI's just changed everything. And as far as where things are going, unfortunately, us older people, if you will, we're going to have to just, the train's already left the station. We're just going to have to hop on.
Yeah, at what point we took the wrong turn? Because I thought that the whole idea of robotics was, hey, robot, do the laundry for me so that I can create music and I can create art and I can enjoy myself. And somehow I'm doing the laundry now and the AI is creating art. So what's the catch? How did we get here? Who thought of it is a good idea?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's just impedes the whole creative process. I believe in organic songwriting. Now you can get AI to write you a song. It's a shame, really, but like I said, the train's left the station. We're just going to have to hop on. So
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons what I ask you about going back live. I'm of the opinion at the moment, and I could be, but of course I could be wrong, that the AI is going to change the internet entirely, meaning that we are going to have to return to person on person, one-on-one, because how else will I know that this is really Linda I'm talking to, and not an AI generated like picture and sound. So if I want to know who I'm talking to, who I'm seeing, who I'm listening to, we will have to return to, like physical 3D world where we live in and seeing people and hearing people one-on-one. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
well, yeah, I think when you say one-on-one, are you talking about live?
Yeah, I'm talking about in person, not
Like going in person? Oh, wow.
What a revolutionary idea. But because, the AI thing is going to corrupt everything on internet, because like 3 days ago or 4 days ago, I heard somebody put Frank Sinatra singing Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Wow.
And it literally sounded like Frank Sinatra, including the arrangements and the horns and like the big band and everything else. And I said, okay, I want to see this live, like in person, because this is becoming ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hear you. I mean, if I have the opportunity to go out and perform live here in Leamington, or, with the band ever again, because we're living so far apart now, then I jump at the opportunity. But I don't think there's a lot of gigs around here for me. I mean, if one becomes available, then so be it. Then maybe I'll think about it. But the extent of my live performances is probably going to be on the internet. I'm going to be recording YouTube videos.
I would just like you to ask you if there's anything that you'd like to say, and I didn't ask you during this interview.
No, I've said pretty much everything I wanted to say.
Well, great.
Other than thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure from the beginning, because I really think that you have so many things to say, and that your story is an incredible one, and above all, that the music that you do is, that should be a new standard. Really, that's what I'm saying from the bottom of my heart.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
No, I really mean it, because each time what I hear when you present it, like I'm being blown away. Like, wow, where did you get these ideas? And and the performance, of course, and the whole story and the lyrics. It's like, I mean, we're building it one step at a time, and eventually, and both you and I will get where we're heading.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this lovely interview.
Thanks, Nanad. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Well, this was another edition of Enter Musician Podcast. I know you like it, and never forget, my name is Nova Scotia. I'm an Enter Musician, and so are you. See you soon.